Thanks for joining me on Radio Taiwan International. You're listening to Sunny Side Up, a weekly escape from the headlines that weigh us down. I'm Eloise Phillips, and in a world flooded with negative news cycles, I'm here every Tuesday to shine a light on the quiet heroes, the breakthroughs, and the everyday wins happening right now, across the globe and in our own backyards. From innovative communities in Taiwan to heartwarming news abroad, I'll share stories that remind us hope still exists. Join me for positive news reports, guests' personal highlights from their week, and special features with local changemakers. Tune in, lift up, and let's spread the good vibes together. This week, I report on Australia's last living speaker of the endangered First Nations language Thiinma, a win for the 4-day working week, and a UK oyster rewilding project. Hui Tsyr, a linguist at the Bundiara Ayarawanga Language Centre in Geraldton, spent 3 years tracking down 92-year-old Peter Salmon, Western Australia's last living speaker of the endangered First Nations language Thiinma. After his grandchildren connected them by phone at Perth's Cairnyup shopping centre, the pair quickly bonded. Peter shared his language. Rosie, 38, contributed her music skills. They formed the band Waragulnia, meaning singing, and co-wrote songs in Thiinma. Born on Maroondah Station, about 210 miles northeast of Carnarvon, Peter learned Thiinma from his mother amid a big family. With limited schooling, he began stockman work barefoot at age 11 with his uncle, herding livestock daily, a life he continues. After his mother's death, he had no one to speak Thiinma with aside from a distant sister, leading to some forgetting. Their collaboration led to ABC TV's The Piano. After impressing at a Sydney airport community piano, they were invited to perform a song called Wari Yungu Wari Paba, about Peter's country dying without rain, water, grass, kangaroos and birds, at the City Recital Hall final. Peter's grandson, Mitch, vowed on stage to pass on the knowledge, moving the audience. Rosie noted the language reached a national stage because Peter had preserved it until trusting collaborators emerged. Since then, they've recorded 3 more songs, with 2 others in the works. Peter said meeting Rosie revived the language, and that it felt good teaching the language to the young. Rosie called it legacy work, rooted in his elders' teachings for future generations. A new long-term study by 4-Day Week Global bolsters momentum for 4-day work weeks, showing the 5th day often yields little productivity. The 18-month trial across the US, Canada, Britain and Ireland tracked workers under the 180-100 model, 100% pay for 80% hours, 33-hour weeks, while maintaining 100% output. Participants matched prior productivity despite fewer hours, trimming inefficiencies like unnecessary meetings for more focused work. Average weeks shortened further over time, by 4 hours in the first 6 months and another hour after a year, with gains in burnout reduction, health, job satisfaction and well-being. Workers reported the pattern became self-reinforcing as they honed focused habits. Ineffective meetings loomed large. 83% of employees spend up to a third of their week in them, costing the US $37 billion annually, with 68% lacking uninterrupted focus time, and over half of remote workers deeming most replaceable by email. Companies restructured workflows beforehand, purging time wasters. Revenue rose 15% trial-wide, weighted by size. A UK pilot of 61 firms and 2,900 workers saw 35% increases, 57% fewer resignations, and 15% of employees unwilling to revert for any pay. Boston College sociologist Juliet Shaw's team analysed 245 organisations over 3 years, finding steady productivity, well-being boosts, and minimal intensity hikes across industries. A 2025 US survey of 2,000 workers showed 69% believed they could finish in 32 hours, led by millennials at 75%, then Gen X and Z at 70%. Critics cite potential honeymoon effects or fading gains, plus limits in shift-based fields like nursing or manufacturing. Iceland cut hours to 35 to 36 for 86% of workers post-2015 trials. That's 2,500 participants, sustaining 4.1% GDP growth. Belgium's 2022 law lets workers compress full weeks into 4 days. Prime Minister Alexander De Croo said it aids flexibility for family life. Tokyo launched government 4-day weeks in April 2025 to fight overwork and low fertility. Microsoft Japan's 2019 pilot gained 40% productivity. The 5-day, 40-hour model stems from 1938 US factory laws, misaligned with today's knowledge economy amid AI shifts. Employees repeatedly told researchers 2 weekend days prove insufficient for recovery. More than 15 million juvenile oysters will be released into the North Sea as part of one of the largest rewilding projects in UK waters. The initiative, led by marine expert Richard Land, aims to re-establish a massive oyster bed around Orkney using a unique onshore rearing process. Experts anticipate it will trigger a trophic cascade of climate and ecological benefits across the ecosystem, including for fish, sea mammals, seabirds, and the broader environment. The project, run by the Green Britain Foundation, Nature Restoration Fund, Marine Fund Scotland and North Bay Innovations, is expected to serve as a blueprint for reviving oyster beds along UK and European coasts. Historically, oyster beds covered vast coastal areas, some in the North Sea as large as Wales. Overfishing during the Industrial Revolution, Londoners alone consumed an estimated 700 million between 1840 and 1850, combined with pollution, climate change and channel clearing, devastated populations, sparking a negative cascade that harmed marine ecosystems. Restoration efforts like this one near Orkney could rebuild coastal waters, improve water quality and combat climate change. Research indicates oyster reefs sequester significant CO2. This bed, spanning over 100 hectares, about 247 acres, might capture up to 76 tonnes annually, with natural spawning potentially boosting that figure more than 1,000-fold after 15 years. Green Britain Foundation founder Dale Vince, a key backer, said the project stemmed from efforts to leverage nature for carbon capture. He noted that restoring native oyster beds revives marine habitats, supports other species, and cuts atmospheric carbon. Juveniles are grown onshore on calcium carbonate-enriched plates, then deployed on long lines to avoid predators until they form reefs with scallops, mollusks, algae, seaweeds, and invertebrates. Orkney and Shetland Liberal Democrat MP Alistair Carmichael welcomed the plan, calling efforts to recover historic wildlife vital, especially with carbon sequestration potential. He emphasised balancing marine resource demands for future generations. University of Edinburgh researcher Feline Gassen stressed that dwindling oyster numbers require human intervention for recovery. She highlighted advancing hatchery techniques using local genetic stocks to aid this valuable ecosystem.
And that's it on the news front. But join me after the break for the first of a 3-part interview with Hui Tsyr, where we begin by chatting about her everyday life living in exchange at a school-turned-theatre since returning from Taiwan to Europe.
Joining the conversation today is Hui Tsyr. Say hello.
Hello, I'm Hui Tsyr.
Lovely to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Good. It has been really good weather here, and it's not so common. We have been having blue sky for a week now, and normally it's like once every week.
Oh, so where are you? Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from a village called Tukkalinge in Sweden.
Wow.
This is a theater in the countryside, and it is transformed from an old school of the village.
Wow. Okay. How long have you been there?
So this time I have been here since last November when I came back. When I came back to Sweden from Taiwan, but the first time me and my partner came was 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So we have been. This has been the place where we live when we are in Sweden.
Right. So it's kind of your base. You said your partner. So your partner is Simon, right? He is from Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you were in Taiwan previously. So maybe you can give us a little bit of background about what you guys were doing in Sweden and Taiwan, and just, what kind of projects you've been involved in.
So we have always been saying that we do theater, but actually we do many different things. So the last year, Simon, my partner, Swedish partner, got a Hui scholarship, and
yes, same as
he
me.
was studying. He was studying in Taidong University for 9 months, I think. Yes. I was not doing so much theater in Taiwan, but when I'm in Europe, I'm always around theater community, doing theater or not. And these years, I have been mainly interested in theater in the countryside, where nature is around.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and now at the moment we are having also a garden. We are taking care of a garden next to the theater, planting some stuff. It has just been spring. The spring has just came, and also we play a lot of music. We really like folk music, like people's music, and I think yes, and also we live most of the time in exchange, like. We don't rent the place for many years, and we use, like, for example, here we go dumpster diving and we bring a lot of food, and it's a way to pay back because we are not paying rent to rehearse or to live here, and this theater has been really generous to us. So it's all about kind of giving what we can.
Yeah, I love that exchange idea. I think it's becoming more and more popular, and people are looking to go back to this way of pay it forward in some way or pay it back, whatever. So about the conversion of the school to the theatre, I'm curious about, like, who comes and goes actually from this theatre. Like, is it very free and open? And, like, at the moment, how many of there are you?
So the theatre was this building was bought by Robert, who was the founder of the theater, and he started the whole thing with also other people, but I would say it's mainly him. How to call? He's like a fixed point, and then there are like I have been around for 3.5 years, so I have seen people come and go. I would say mainly we call this a bit like a asylum center for lost artists. It doesn't need to be artists even. Like, there was refugees living here as well from Ghana.
Really? Wow.
So it's, in that sense, it's a really free place, and it's actually a lot of rooms. I think at least maybe 10, 15 rooms.
Okay. Right.
To sleep, and then there's 2 big rooms for rehearsal, and there's an amazing kitchen. Like, imagine a old school kitchen with a fire stove as well. So in that sense, it's a really, like, it remains some kind of the spirit of a school, I would say, but like a free school, and where I feel like most of the people come maybe for 2-3 years and then they go on with their life.
When you say, so we're going to get into dumpster diving in a moment, but I just first kind of want to hear a bit more about when you say theatre, what exactly do you mean? Because, like, a lot of people might think of just, like your typical play or musical theatre or something like this, but is there any kind of particular branch of theatre that you prefer?
Yes, so So me and my partner actually really met like 6 years ago in Olding Theater in Denmark, and that is a theater where theater is not, it's not really the kind of theater that follows a script or is not a musical, and is not of course not faking opera, but is it's rather a kind of theater that we use different materials that say music, could be a dance, could be a choreography, but could be also poems, could be a painting that we embody, and could be a forest that we sound. And all these materials, they can become a montage. If I'm alone, then maybe like, let's say I have this song and I have this text, and I put them together. I speak one sentence and I sing. Or if I'm with another colleague, then we might put this song with this physical score that they have created. But when we create these scores and these materials, we don't really think about the story. We rather let them be itself, and then when we meet them, there is meanings, but it's not literal in that way. So if I point at a tree, my text wouldn't be I see a tree, but rather that I had this poem maybe says that there is an old church when I point at the tree. So then there's like multiple meanings where the audience can create their own stories.
Yeah, no. It's not like a fixed meaning. It's more down to the audience to interpret in the way that they want to.
And this, I think these last 3 years, we also have been very much avoiding to use like plug-in material. So it's rather acoustic, and is things that we can bring in a suitcase and do it outside, do it inside, do it with light, do it without light. And so in that sense, really flexible, but also really like not minimum, but like poor resources. Like how do we use what we have in a maximum way?
Right, I see. So what kind of things have you been using recently then? What resources?
You mean like in a play, in a performance, or around?
Both. If you have an answer for either or both is...
Okay. So I would say there can be like, I think I could talk about the actual maybe objects. Then it's like a stone I found at the fireplace. And like I really went deep with this. Not like in the cliche way of a ritual, but like make like a ritual with this stone, and it's just a stone. And then Simon had a bed sheet where he's a ghost.
Okay.
And then we have a rope that we found randomly that and the ashes from burning the wood. So in terms of objects, for example, that is the object.
Okay. Because I remember in Taidong, there was a performance I never got to see, but you used the watermelon, right? And Simon used the petrol pump that he found?
Yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes. The watermelon was actually, I would say, rather a rich resource because it was a season where watermelon was hard to find. But yeah, so in that sense also, it's about what we can find here. So at that time I was in Hualien and watermelon was still possible, and I had this idea. So I used watermelon. But if I will do the same thing in Sweden, I cannot find a watermelon which I can put on my head as a helmet. So I might change, like I might have the same intent, but I would use I can talk the same story with a different object.
Right. So you'd adapt to your environment, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week on Sunny Side Up. Thanks to Hui Tsyr for sharing her experiences of community exchange and theatre. We'll discover even more of her exciting adventures in the following weeks, including dumpster diving and a Polish caroling trip. So don't miss out and stay tuned.